Now, for Londoners rushing to work this morning, the sight of a helicopter crashing to earth in a ball of fire was little short of terrifying. After it hit the top of one of the many tall cranes which punctuate the capital's skyline, it killed 2 people, including the pilot, Pete Barnes, and injured another dozen. But in truth, there could have been many more casualties. That's because the helicopter came down in a densely populated area at the peak of the rush hour. It hit the Wandsworth Road 300 yards from the crane, which was on top of St George's Wharf Tower. Now, that's a road just next to one of the busiest 4-lane traffic junctions in South London. Debris from the aircraft hit parts of the new Covent Garden flower and vegetable market, where more than 100 traders and buyers were already working. But it missed by just yards the busy commuter trains and tracks that run through the area. And it also avoided the heavily used bus station and tube interchange, which were packed with commuters. It was uncomfortably close, too, to the MI6 building, which was just a few hundred feet away. And if it had come down a few hundred yards further south, there would have been a potentially catastrophic crash into gas storage holders. Well, air accident investigators have already begun work on what may have caused the accident, as Paraic O'Brien reports.
How do you react if on your way into work you come across this?
Get away!
Some of the first on the scene just stopped and stared. Then it starts to dawn on others. They start running away.
What's that?
Helicopter.
No. Yeah. At some point, the shout goes up.
No, someone's in the car.
I need to help these guys.
No, someone's in the car, son.
Some go forward trying to help. Others start ushering people away.
I arrived on the scene of the crash little under an hour after it happened. An eyewitness told me on the scene that the helicopter under dense fog hit that crane against the tower. You can see behind me, you can see a large chunk of the crane missing.
Other eyewitnesses describe seeing the helicopter experience some difficulty before hitting the crane.
Before it hit the block of the crane, it was struggling. It was making funny noise. It looks as if they were in trouble.
It just lost total control and it just ripped it like a piece of paper. It was like it wasn't metal or anything, it just literally ripped. And as it came down, noise like a descending.
The rotor blades literally sheared off the helicopter instantly. And the top of the crane smashed off as well and just fell to the ground.
We run out to it, see a car burning, helicopter on top of it, and just really shocked, still shaking really.
The emergency services arrived in record time, and as the flames subsided, parts of the helicopter came into view. Pieces of engine here, the tail wing on a nearby roof there. By late morning, the news that 2 people had died. One was on the ground, the other was pilot and father of 2, Captain Peter Barnes. Struggling to come to terms with the news, a close friend.
We heard about it. I didn't even think it might be Pete. But no, I mean, he was such a genuinely nice guy. And yeah, really very upset.
Okay, Pete.
He worked with the air ambulance and featured on a local news item some years ago because he also flew for big budget films. He was working on a Bond movie with Pierce Brosnan. From the start of the interview, the genuinely nice guy description borne out.
Can you give me your, 1, 2, hello. Can you give me your full name and any title you may have?
Captain Pete Barnes of Q Division.
Bond doesn't talk like that.
No, he doesn't.
He was also one of the most experienced pilots in the business, with over 12,000 flying hours under his belt. So, what happened? He left Redhill in Surrey at 7:35 en route to Elstree Studios in Hertfordshire. It's understood he asked to be diverted to Battersea Heliport because of dense fog. He never made it. Just before 8, his helicopter hit the crane at St George's Wharf Tower in Vauxhall. Eyewitnesses say they saw the helicopter experience some difficulty. There were also reports that hazard lights on the crane were either not switched on or weren't clear enough. There were no hazard lights visible when this footage was taken this morning. It's this man's job to find out what happened.
We're going to be trying to build a picture of the operational and mechanical aspects of the occurrence, and then we'll return the wreckage to our facility in Farnborough in Hampshire. It may take several months before we can produce a definitive report into the event.
Some facts, though, are incontrovertible. 12 people were injured. 2 people died when a helicopter fell out of the sky onto one of London's busiest streets at rush hour. It's near miraculous that this tragedy wasn't much, much worse.
Paraic O'Brien reporting.